Hello and welcome to the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast with your host, Kimberly Dunn of Idlewild Horsemanship and Mindset Coaching. This podcast is here to bring you the very best in tips, tricks, and advice to help you better understand yourself, your mindset, and your horse, because your horsemanship starts with you. Let's go. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horsemanship and Mindset podcast. I am, as always, delighted to have you here. I hope you had a wonderful week. And without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. So, this episode is kind of has been brought about by a client session that I had the other day. I've just taken on a new recalibrate client, and she was talking through some of like past experiences with her horse, and it reminded me that I like, because of the way I view the world now and the horse world and how I teach and how I think, you kind of end up surrounding yourself with that thinking. And then you start to think that, oh, yeah, of course, everybody knows this. This is the way that everybody thinks. And then every now and then you're reminded that, no, that's not the case. And she was talking about an experience she'd had with her horse where the horse was not happy about leaving the yard and would, if pushed, would rear. And she hired a trainer to come out and help with this. And the trainer actually made everything worse because this person was all about pushing the horse until the behavior became much more exaggerated, and then telling the client that she needed to stay on, she needed to push through this, and very much had the attitude of, you cannot get off. If you get off, the horse is won, etc., etc. You're training the horse that if they do that, then you'll get off. And I was shocked to hear that someone who, I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know this person, but it shocked me that there's people in the industry that are helping people with quote unquote problems or problem horses and are still operating on that antiquated mindset and kind of approach to horsemanship and to training horses. I see so much now about, and again, this is just because I guess I've unconsciously curated my feeds everywhere and what I see, about nervous system regulation. And you start to think, oh, everybody's getting to know this now. Everybody understands this. And no, there are still people out there pushing horses to the brink, making clients, making equestrians feel like they flipping need to win a battle, and if they don't win that battle, then that's it. And putting people and horses in dangerous situations for no bloody good reason. I'm sorry. Yeah, it made me quite mad actually. I got quite animated about the whole thing. Anyway, so that's kind of what we're talking on today. The main thing being, if you need to get off your horse, you can get off your horse. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I've done an episode on this before, and if I have, and you've heard me, then apologies, but I just can't not talk about it again because apparently this needs putting out into the world again. So if you're new to this, hooray, I'm happy to have you here. If you're not, then apologies, you can hear this again. So I didn't put my phone on silent. Fail. Right. So, I want to talk about why getting off your horse is not a failure and why this thinking is totally backwards, and how we can approach situations like this in a way that actually is going to build trust, confidence, and safety for the horse and for the human. The thing is that when you don't know, you don't know. And when you don't know, and I was in this position before as well, when you don't know, you get someone in that is supposed to be a professional, or you work for someone that's supposed to be a professional or whatever. And so you think, all right, okay, well, if that's what they're doing and they get results, then that must be correct because I don't know any different. And that's not, sadly, always the case. So the old school belief then, the traditional old school antiquated and vintage belief, oh, she's sassy today, it's phrases like, you can't let the horse win. If you get off your horse, you've lost. You've got to stay on no matter what. Do not get off that horse. Do not stop kicking. Do not stop pushing. Get mad at them. Show them who's boss. Ugh. Now, the kind of mindset behind that is kind of really framing things around dominance, control, and winning versus losing. And horses do not think like that. They aren't plotting victories. They're not, they are not wired like humans. And they are responding. So when these behaviors pop up that are behaviors that are quote unquote undesirable to us, they are responding to pressure, to fear, to confusion, and to overwhelm. They're not acting out of what's the word? I don't know, it's gone out of my head. But they're not plotting against us, basically. There is no winning and losing. There is only a horse's nervous system that is flipping overloaded. And so they've gone into fight or flight. And that's where these big behaviors come. And the more you push them, the more you keep kicking, the more you refuse to get off, the more you keep pointing them at the jump or whatever it is, the bigger the reaction, you're going to end up either having some kind of accident, or you're going to push the horse, they'll jump the jump, but then it's not been a good experience. So you get the problem pop up again, or you get them to leave the yard, or whatever it is you're struggling with. Or you keep on and on and on and on and on. And then you've got a shut down horse because they just think, oh, okay, and give up and shut down. And then nobody wants that. So let's look at rearing, because rearing is like a huge kind of red flag as to, something's going wrong here. Because the reason why a horse rears is because they can't go forward. So that energy is sending them up. Okay. Now, possible reasons behind a horse rearing. So fear, pain, confusion, being totally pushed over thresholds. So they're in fight or flight at this point. They're not thinking straight. They just need to do something to try and make themselves feel safe. They're trying to take control of the situation in some way to restore safety to themselves, or they feel trapped. And when a horse has got to that level, when a horse is rearing up, the situation is already escalated. The situation is already on a code red. Okay? So here, the goal instead, rather than winning, needs to be de-escalation and not, funnily enough, domination. And actually, sometimes the most sensible, the smartest, the most productive thing that the rider on board can do in this situation is remove yourself from the situation safely. Get off the horse. That does not mean the horse has won. That does not mean you're training them. Oh, if I rear up, the person will get off. It means, first of all, you're taking your safety seriously. You're taking your horse's safety seriously, because you can work on way more on the ground than you ever could on board. You can build a confidence and trust from the ground. Now, the thing is when you are on a horse and you are being told, or you think, I've got to keep pushing, and your horse is on the edge or is tipped over the edge. When you are in that situation, your heart rate spikes, your breathing changes, your muscles tighten, and your thinking becomes reactive because you're in survival mode. And the horse then picks up on that too. So now you've got two dysregulated nervous systems interacting with each other, sending you both to the moon. So staying on to prove a point because you think you should, that's not going to regulate anything. That's not going to actually make progress or create a good solid foundation for you and your horse. It's probably going to make things worse. And so what I want to do now is kind of reframe the idea of this, because I know there might be, and if you're here, welcome, there might be some people that have come to this podcast, I don't know, for the first time, or maybe they're open to you are open to the idea of, doing things a little differently. But you have very much been conditioned or in environments in your time with horses where the belief has been, you can't let them win. You've got to be the boss. You don't get off. And if that's you, please know that I am not trying to target you or make you feel less than at all. But I would ask that you open your mind for this reframe that I'm about to talk about. So instead of asking who won, who's the winner here, think about asking instead, what is my horse trying to tell me here? What is going on? And you know what that involves? That involves stopping. Because here's the other thing that happens when we're in a lesson or we're at a clinic or we're in a situation where we're stuck. We keep going, more pressure. And again, everything's overloaded. You're overloaded. The horse is overloaded. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get where you need to go. So you actually just stopping for a second is going to help bring you down, bring your horse down. And you can think, right, okay, what is this horse trying to tell me? What's the problem here? Oh, okay, they don't like that jump wing. Oh, okay, they don't like the tractor. Oh, okay, they're not comfortable with leaving the arm on their own. And then you've paused. So are we over threshold now? What's going on with my horse? So if your horse let's talk about being at threshold. So if your horse is at threshold, that is the moment where they are trying to decide, are they in danger? Am I in danger? So you'll find your horse will have their head up. Their ears might be moving around or fixed on something. They might stop blinking. Their heart rate might go up. They might stiffen up. All of those moments show you that your horse is at threshold and they are concerned. In that moment, you can either help them or you can push them over. And unfortunately, often, when horses aren't read, their signals that they're giving aren't read properly. That's when we push them over threshold. That's where you get the bucking, bolting, rearing, bronking, big spooks, all of that stuff. So how can you then ask yourself, how can I bring calm back into the situation? Calm, bringing that back means things like taking a pause, breathing, stepping back, getting off and regrouping, allowing your horse to move around a little bit. Just come away from the thing for a second. Bring it down. This is not letting your horse win. They're not then thinking, yes, I've won. They're never going to make me do that ever again. Your horse is just thinking, I feel a bit better now. And then you can start reapproaching, but you break it down and you build it up. It really is that simple, okay? If you need to get off, get off. De-escalate the situation. Walk around with your horse. Maybe do some body control, hip disengage, move their shoulders, ask them to back up really calmly, really quietly, bring them down, assess the situation. How are they feeling? If you need to walk them to or around or past the thing, do that. Do it a couple of times, quietly, calmly, and when it's safe to do so, you can get back on. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, well, this is great, but I'm never going to be able to get back on my horse, or it's not safe for me to get off my horse because I don't have any control on the ground. Well, you know what that means, don't you? That means you need to work on your groundwork. You need to spend some time working on that so that it is a safe space when you do get off, so that you do have control. so that you are able to help your horse to relax. Please, please, please do that if you don't have control of your horse on the ground. It's so, so important. Now, let's just talk about the long-term impact. So what happens and what has happened with my client, and the reason why she's one of the reasons why we've ended up working together, is that she felt forced to stay on. She felt forced to keep pushing on, to keep going, even though her horse is rearing and the rears are getting bigger. Okay. Now, so then what happens? Fear of riding, trauma responses, loss of trust in herself and her own knowledge and skills and abilities, because this lady is perfectly capable of working all of this out, but she had lost trust in herself that she knew what to do and how to do it, when and why to do it. And loss of connection with your horse, because ultimately, you're not listening to your horse, are you, when you're pushing them? I could describe it as like, so say you've got your little child, you're walking down the road with them, and they see something they're scared of. You don't say, come on, just get on with it and drag them past it or kick them down the road, do you? You stop with them and you say, what is it you're scared of? Why are you scared of it? How can I help you? And you work on it with them. And it's the same for your horse. Okay. And then if you didn't listen to the child, then what happens? They stop trusting you. They stop talking to you. They don't tell you about their problems. Not that your horse is going to tell you about their problems, but you see what I mean? Like the connection is lost. Now we look at riders then who actually are empowered to listen to themselves and their horse. And here's what happens. You will build your own confidence. You will build your own trust in yourself. You will actually feel safe because you know, okay, I just get off. You're not having to white knuckle your way through things. Your relationship with your horse then is catapulted because you've got connection, because you're communicating. There's trust there because your horse knows you're actually listening and reading them. And then the horse has confidence in you as a partner, not as a boss, because you're listening to them. And so you're able to do more together because your horse knows they're not going to be put in a situation that blows their mind. Now, I just want to give you just a little caveat here because I know there is also, it's okay me saying all of this, but let's bring in a situation where you're at a competition, where you are in a lesson, where you are at a clinic or a camp or something, and there's people telling you, don't get off because then they've won. Or there's people with that belief, say you're out on a hack and you're with a bunch of people and they're like, don't get off. If you get off, they've won. And then you feel uncomfortable. I would just like to say to you, if that's you, this is where you really need to start kind of stepping into your power and just know that all that matters is you and your horse and your safety, of course. And in a moment where it feels like I need to get off and I need to help my horse through this, you are allowed to do that. You're allowed to say to the people, look, I know my horse, I know myself, and I know what is best for us both in this moment right now. And it is me getting off and us just working on it on the ground for a minute. Just give me a minute. Just give me 2 minutes while I just work on this and then move on. That's going to get you so much further than if you don't. And, if you're with people that are poo-pooing you or making you feel less than or small because you're doing something that is helping you and your horse, maybe you shouldn't be hanging out with these people. Which again, I know, easier said than done, but I'm here and I'm telling you, it's okay to do that if you need to. Okay, so let's give you a couple more reframes that are helpful for you moving forward, especially if you've come to this and you are a kind of in that mindset of, no, I shouldn't get off. So think about staying curious about what your horse is telling you. So again, something's going on, just stop and think, right, okay, what's going on here? Why is this going on? What is my horse uncomfortable with? Think about working below threshold. You want things to stay calm. Break things down, give them a few breaks. Be prepared to take things slowly. Again, we're always so go, 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 go. Be prepared to take things slowly and break things down. If you want the ultimate partnership with your horse, that's what it takes. Slow things down when you feel like a situation is escalating. Slow it down. So, if I think back to some rides in my past, there's definitely been many, many situations where I've been in a lesson or working with someone and they've said, a horse has been getting stressed out about doing something and maybe they're starting to show some adverse behaviors. And I've been told to keep pushing and keep going and keep riding and pushing the horse way over threshold, pushing myself way over threshold as well. And actually, if we'd have just stopped and just had a moment a few times and just relaxed and broken things down that bit more, things probably would have stayed a lot more relaxed, and actually we would have got further with the horse. So yeah. Um, Remember to just think about at the very, 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 very bottom line of it all, think of it as you're prioritizing your safety. And do you feel safe in this moment? No. Well, it's okay to get off then and work on something else, and then you can get back on. You can get back on your horse when you know your horse has started to relax. One of the biggest things about confidence, and the biggest reasons why I do what I do, how I do it, is that often we don't feel confident because we don't know what to do or we don't know what to expect. It's the unknown. If you spend time getting to understand your horse and their body language, why they do what they do, what it is that triggers them, and how you can help them to relax, if you take the time to do that, the knowledge is there. And so the unknown is gone. And so guess what? Your confidence builds. You know what to do. You know how to help yourself and you know how to help your horse when challenging things arise. It can only get better from there, and your confidence can only get better from there. And that's why, particularly in the program, in the Like the Equestrian program, there is that focus on horsemanship, because when you know what to do, the world is your oyster. When you don't know what to do, that's where you're vulnerable. And that's like one of the biggest things with confidence, really. And so, yeah. So, finally, the best decision is often to just get off and reset. Like, if things are going totally wrong, it's okay to get up, because your horse is not keeping score. They're not plotting in their stable. They aren't trying to win. They are trying to communicate with you. They're trying to tell you, I'm not confident about this. I am not confident leaving this yard on my own. I am not confident going past that thing. I think that thing's going to eat me. I don't feel comfortable jumping that jump because my back hurts. This saddle doesn't fit. They're always trying to communicate something. And so the goal for you as their partner is to understand them. This is not ever about domination. We ain't dominating over here. We're looking to understand and to have compassion for our horses and to do what we can to work with them. We're not making them work for us. We're working with them. I hope that was helpful. I did very well today. I didn't get as ranty as I got yesterday. Apparently, I got all of the ranting out of my system. I really hope that this was helpful, and I hope it's kind of, if you already are a person that has absolutely no shame about getting off your horse, I hope this was affirming for you. If you are a person who kind of holds a bit of shame about getting off, or has been of that old kind of school mindset of you shouldn't get off, that means they've won, etc. I hope this has kind of opened up a bit of a conversation for you. Maybe I hope it's helped you see things a little differently, and maybe now allows you the autonomy to make that choice for yourself if you need to do so. Yeah, I really hope it was helpful. And just to summarize, it's okay to get off. to de-escalate a situation, just pause, slow things down, break it down, and you will get so much further than you ever would by pushing through things. Um, if you did find this helpful, please share it with someone you think needs to hear this. And of course, if you have not already, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you do not miss future episodes. And also, leaving a review of any kind really, really helps the podcast to reach more riders who need support, who need encouragement. And I would love it if you could do so. I'll see you all on the next episode. Have a wonderful week. And yeah, that's it. Over and out.